We don't really want cars from Canada. And we put tariffs on cars from Canada, and at a certain point, it won't make economic sense for Canada to build those cars. We really don't want Canadian steel, and we don't want Canadian aluminum and various other things, because we want to be able to do it ourselves.
Is it clear to you what kind of outcome he's looking for?
No, and I'm not sure that it's clear to him what kind of actual specific outcome he's looking for, other than one where the U.S. can say we're on top and somebody else is not. Whatever the outcome is with Canada, with most of these other trading partners, it will look like some kind of a framework of a deal, and Trump will say, we won. This is what I wanted. It won't be an actual trade deal, to the point you made earlier. Those take months and sometimes years to hammer out. He will take some kind of off-ramps, but I don't think that he knows exactly what he wants to see other than a headline that says success.
I also wonder how much the president's knowledge that the prime minister was elected in reaction to a lot of what the president said. I mean, his popularity grew in reaction to President Trump.
True. Most people would have the reaction of, oh, that means that perhaps I should temper what I'm saying. Trump, as you know, historically doubles down. We have seen that here, and also he sees it as it's still everyone talking about him one way or the other, so he sort of likes being at the center of it.
Gives me hope. I keep saying at some point reality is just going to overtake the propaganda, and I think it was Maggie Haberman was talking about blowback that Trump is getting on Truth Social, on his platform, because he keeps lying about gas prices and everything. He's recently said gasoline just broke $1.98 a gallon, lowest in years. So the national average is probably, as you know, $3.18. And so when Trump posted that, she said there were a lot of replies from Trump voters saying, not where I live, not where I live. She said that, this platform is normally very praising of Trump. She noted there's actually a limit to how much he can keep saying that and have his own voters believe him. And he right now seems to just believe himself, right? I mean, again, people know what they're paying for gas and for eggs, right?
Yeah, and my fear is, their holy grail is this tax cut for the wealthiest. Right. Now it's $5.5 trillion, by the way, according to the Joint Committee on Taxation. Extending that tax cut is $1 trillion more than people have been saying. And it's all about that. That is their holy grail. So Elon Musk and Donald Trump pay less. We're all going to pay more. And $1.5 trillion are cuts to things like healthcare and education and food assistance. But then they're having this fake revenue from tariffs, which is, again, part of, I think, this whole debate we're having. But at the end of the day, the most important thing to them is this tax cut, and in the next 30 to 60 days, they want to have it done. So this is the time people need to reach out and be as active as possible, making their Republican members of the House and Senate have town halls, which they're not having. Therefore, make any event they have a town hall. Show up, ask questions, and get in their face a little bit to make them answer those questions.
Can I ask you how you do your job every day when we've lost 2 F-18s in the last week? Newark Airport is obviously a disaster zone. We've had another air incident. What was it out here in San Francisco Airport? We just found out that Trump White House blindsided after Pete Hegseth abruptly canceled Ukraine weapons shipments. They weren't communicating. He's been on how many signal chats? I mean, there's such a blinding amount of incompetence that is really serious for our national security, right?
Yeah, you needed to have asked for people's resumes when you made them cabinet secretaries, not their video from Fox News. And that's not a joke, because that's actually what he did. He asked for people a video of what they looked like on TV and how much they would be his sycophants, rather than bringing in experts in various fields. And now we're seeing what happens when you do that. You have people who think Signal is security, a Signal app. You have, the issues going on right now with all the firings. I mean, you fired 10,000 people at the Health and Human Services and then had to hire 2,000 back because you made an oopsie. Who wants to work for the federal government when you're going to be fired and rehired, then fired maybe again? And all of this is going to have an impact on our services. So I hear from veterans who are trying to make appointments at the VA hospital who can't get through because all the probationary employees that used to answer the phones and make the appointments have been fired. And on and on and on, we hear these stories.
Well, you covered a lot of this online. You said the Trump administration is celebrating Mental Health Awareness Month by slashing $1 billion in mental health services for students. Once again, who the hell's asking for this? You said a budget is a statement of values times. Trump shows exactly who he is, a jerk who only cares about himself. $18 billion in cuts for public health, heating assistance for low-income families eliminated entirely. Who the hell is asking for this? Who's asking for no cancer research? Who is asking for no air traffic controllers and pilots flying blind into one of our major airports? I mean,
those Medicaid cuts. I mean, especially Stephanie. 1.3 million people in Wisconsin. 1 out of every 3 kids gets their health insurance from Medicaid. But 55% of seniors in nursing homes. My mom, in her final years, got help from Medicaid while in a nursing home.
My mom, too. Yeah.
Yeah, this is, everyone is impacted by these cuts. And Medicaid may sound like a government program, but it's healthcare and long-term care. So, fine, Donald Trump and most of the cabinet that are billionaires may not need this help, but the average person in my district and across America and your listeners do. And they're cutting the programs from working people just to give themselves a tax cut.
Yeah. I love this one. You said, reminder, Elon Musk took taxpayer money to build his empire, then turned around and cut jobs, gutted services, and fought unions that benefit everyone else. Wisconsin, of course, the birthplace of unions, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, Elon Musk in particular, I mean, he and Doge have been a national embarrassment. I think they went from $1 trillion in cuts they were going to find. Then they lowered it to $150 billion. Even that's a largely inflated number. The worst part is Elon Musk, while in this position, got federal contracts. He was getting $8 million a day from the federal government. The average person on Social Security gets $65 a day, and he's turning on and off federal funds. That's pure corruption for a guy that helped fund Donald Trump's campaign. He's getting more access to federal contracts. And, we had to introduce a bill called the Eliminate the Looting of Our Nation by Mitigating Unethical State Kleptocracy Act, which...
Well, that rolls off the tongue.
Elon Musk Act. Yeah. Which is trying to stop him. You shouldn't be able to get federal contracts if you're also... the guy in charge of that money.
And I thought after, decimating our government, he's going back to wrecking Tesla. I mean, the headline this morning, Tesla's inventory of unsold Cybertrucks skyrockets despite offering $10,000 discounts, concealing listings. It's obviously the new report out says Tesla's been struggling with crashing sales numbers, largely because of his politics and his work with Doge. Tesla sales of all models fell worldwide last year, even though overall sales of EVs are increasing. The Cybertruck, I think, who was it? Forbes called it the industry's biggest flop in decades. Tariffs have walloped Tesla. I mean, they may suffer another brutal blow at the hands of Trump. One of his policy initiatives is to end the emissions regulatory credits that have raked in billions of dollars in revenue for them. I mean, everything Trump touches dies. And everyone that gets involved with him implodes.
Well, and that's why you watch the Prime Minister in Canada when he's talking again about acquiring Canada. It's like, hey, hell no, we're not going there. This is, unfortunately, we are being hurt internationally by what's happening. We don't have professionals in any of these positions, and we need to just get 3 Republican members of the House to stand up against these cuts. And that's why, making sure that everyone on a regular basis is contacting their member of the House and Senate, putting that pressure on today, tomorrow, next week is really, really important.
I got to ask you about the Supreme Court allows trans military ban to take effect. I was saying, I understand everybody has different feelings on different issues involving this. Someone that wants to take a bullet for you and your country, who has a problem with that and why?
This is just appealing to a certain part of the MAGA base. I do find it a bit rich that the guy who wants a makeup room has a problem with, I'm just going to say that
Point
is
taken.
definitely a problem. Right?
So I saved one last tweet for you from Rachel Vinman. I think one of our callers asked this too, and I just wonder your thoughts on it. She said recently some members of Congress have said their Republican colleagues privately acknowledge Trump is not acting in the best interests of the U.S. Why aren't they naming and shaming those colleagues? Crimes are being committed, and protecting people who are protecting someone who's doing illegal things is also illegal. I hate to say it, but I just said this is a party of liars led by a liar, and I know they would lie. Right? If you said so-and-so said this, they'd be like, oh, fake news, deep state, blah, 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 right? I mean,
and they're afraid. I mean, we've heard multiple accounts of Republican senators who would have voted against some of the cabinet nominees because they were clearly unqualified that it wasn't just that they were getting death threats, because unfortunately we sign up for this in our job, but their family members were getting death threats. And it's the MAGA movement and that put that pressure on. So unfortunately, I've had Republicans from my state say, yo, the way they grabbed that woman at Tufts, you better do something about that. You better say something. I'm like, I am, but how about you? Or people who said they have no idea what MAGA's doing, and yet they are silent in being complicit with those actions. I mean, ultimately, it is a movement that they're afraid of, and we're all going to pay the price for their cowardice.
Well, what gives me hope? You specifically, Wisconsin, because of the elections we had there. Right? I'm telling you.
I'll tell you.
Go ahead.
The big lesson out of that, if I can, was not that we won, and it wasn't that we won by 10 points in a state usually where people win by like a point. It was the turnout. We had our polling was dead on, and it matched the Republican polling, we found out later, but no one expected that many people who just feel like they're not being heard to come out and vote. We had mid-level congressional turnout for a nonpartisan Supreme Court April primary election. And that was the message.
MAGA Texans got swept out of a bunch of school boards and stuff. I believe it was last week. So, I think there's a revolution coming, and you are one of our heroes of democracy.
Right. You are.
We love you, Representative Mark Pocan. We will talk to you soon. Oh, hey there, it's Stephanie Miller. If you're like me and you love sharp political insight, pointy, you like it pointy and sharp, bold opinions, and a touch of humor to make sense of these crazy times, have I got some fantastic news for you. The Political Voices Network is now on Substack. This is your new go-to for the best in independent media. We're talking about my show streaming daily with episodes on demand, the fearless of journalism of Brian Karem, the brilliant side-splitting satire of John Fugelsang, the unrelenting working class advocacy of Rick Smith, and so much more. Here's the best part. Subscribing is so easy. You can join for free or go to the extra mile. Support these incredible independent voices by signing up for a full subscription starting at just $8. You'll get access to exclusive content, behind-the-scenes insights, and a chance to directly fuel fearless, unfiltered media. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to politicalvoicesnetwork.com, hit that subscribe button, and become part of the movement keeping truth alive in an era of corporate media overload. Every subscription helps, especially yours. One more time, that is politicalvoicesnetwork.com. Sign up now. Do it.